I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. This is the Alcohol Mastery podcast session 4. I have a couple of questions today, and the first one is, what types of food should you eat to ease up on the cravings? I think a lot of the cravings are to do with your thoughts anyway, so I don't think the food is going to help you out too much. A lot of people say that once you've quit that, because you're missing the sugar out of the alcohol, that you crave the sugar. Now, I've got a sweet tooth, so I don't really know about that. I can't say that my sugar levels were increased to any discernible degree. I think what you can do is you can help your body out as much as you can by feeding yourself on good food. It's as simple as that. I think if you overall you want to try and drink plenty of water, because what you're doing is you're trying to flush out your system. Your body is going to be getting rid of the toxins for probably the first time in a long time that it's able to go through a full cycle of detox, and that's basically what you're trying to do. Is you're trying to detoxify your system, and your body's going to take care of most of that. You know, I don't agree with all this shit about, you know, sticking tubes up your arse and getting coffee enemas or anything like that. I think your body will do it on its own. That's what it's designed for. Your kidneys are there, your liver's there, your digestive system is there to remove all the crap, to take out all the goodness from your food and remove the crap. So what you want is you want to have as much goodness in your food in the first place. You know, if you're putting in fast food, then, you know, there's not that much goodness in there to start with, so your body hasn't got that much to work on. But if you're putting in whole foods like fruits and vegetables and whole grains, brown rice, brown pasta, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's so much variety out there for, if you're talking about fruits and vegetables especially. If you're eating meats, eat lean meats, and, you know, get a bit of fish into you as well, the omega-3 fatty acids. I think is it omega-3 or omega-6? I think it's omega-3. One of them anyway. There's the fish oils. But the water is important, because the water is going to flush out all the shit toxins. You know, it's helping your body to dilute everything and to push it out the other end. Second question is, how long did it take you to replace drinking with walking? The simple answer to that is that I've always walked. You know, to be honest with you, I found it very difficult towards the end of my drinking life to go out walking at all, because I had so much heartburn. You know, I think I'd done a lot of damage with all the booze, all the carbonation in the alcohol that I was drinking. So for the last year, I was drinking lager. I used to drink Guinness over in Ireland, and that's a bit more smoother of a drink. But the lager's got a lot more fizz in it, so, and it's probably not just the fizz as well. There's a lot of chemicals in alcohol. I'm not sure if it's the same as cigarettes, but at one stage I was reading that there was over 1,000 different chemicals in pre-made cigarettes. You know, cigarettes that were already made up, instead of tobacco. You know, when I smoked, I used to always smoke tobacco, so I'd roll my own cigarettes. But in pre-made cigarettes, in packaged cigarettes, there's over 1,000 chemicals. I couldn't believe that when I'd heard that. And just all different chemicals to stimulate to smoke more, obviously, to take away from the taste, or to add to the taste, or add to the smell, or keep them burning longer. So I presume that there's a lot of chemicals added to beer as well. I used to always love the German purity law, and it was something that I was like, oh yeah, well, I only drink German beer because there is this purity law where they're only allowed to put in the main ingredients, so the water, the hops, the malt, or whatever it is that they're putting in, and they're not allowed to, add any other chemicals. What a load of shit. That was one of the things that kept me drinking, kept it sort of, I was doing something that was a bit like the wine tasters, that you're doing something that's a cut above everyone else, and, that it's not really the damaging thing that you're doing, because, like at the end of the day, you've got the purity law. This is the purity law, man. How can it be bad when there's purity, and this stuff that you're drinking? So it's all part of the brainwashing. I don't know how far that goes back, that purity law, but certainly any manufacturer of German beer highlights that. It was like, I remember reading an advertisement about was it Budweiser or one of the craft beers, anyway. Another thing, craft beers, and they couldn't differentiate their beer from anyone else's in the neighborhood, so they started going through what do you do with the beer? What is there anything that we can describe to make it sound good? And they came up with this cold filtered process. And when they put it out first, cold filtered beer, was it Budweiser or anyway? They were able to describe this procedure that they went through to make this beer, and it just made it sound like it was better than all the other beers, even though a lot of the other beers were still following this same procedure, this same way of making the beer. What was the question? Oh yeah, walking. So yeah, I didn't walk I was walking, but I just, I wouldn't walk as far. Now I walk loads, but I get up every morning and do it, and it's just my morning routine. It's one of the best things that you can do, actually, is a morning routine. You get into the before I stopped, so there's before and after always. Before I stopped, it was sit there in front of the computer and just check out emails or Facebook or whatever, and nurse my hangover. That was my morning. Of course, once I stopped, I didn't have to do that anymore. So I was trying to get my productivity up, and try and fit in more during the day. I just didn't know how to do that before. No matter what type of things you put into your life to try and make it better, to get more done, to make more money, or whatever it is that you're trying to do to improve yourself. Once you're drinking, everything else takes a backseat, because how can you plan anything? How can you say, well, tomorrow I'm going to do this, the next day I'm going to do that, and plan out 7 days in advance, when on a whim you can just go out and get pissed, and then that screws up. For me, it wasn't just one day, it was 2 or 3 days. So I wanted to try and sort this out as well. It was just another area of my life that, that was left open. Once you quit, you've just got a lot of spare time. You've got a lot of money. You've got all this money that you were spending on alcohol. You can now spend on something else. So I had all this, and I decided that I'd try and establish a morning routine. So it was get up in the morning, go in, brush my teeth, drink a pint of water before I did anything else. And depending on the time of the year, this time of the year in the summer, it's get out and have a walk. If it's the winter time, I'm up at 6 o'clock every morning, so it doesn't get light until maybe 7:30. So in the winter time, I go in and do a bit of meditation or reading or whatever, and it's just that same routine. It establishes the pattern for the day. So when I go to do other things, then you've sort of established this step-by-step routine, and it just automatically leads into the next thing that you're doing, which can be very productive. So I don't walk all the time in the morning. Sometimes I walk in the evening. And I think, you could call it an addiction. I prefer not to call it an addiction, but there are such things as positive addictions. I mean, there's positive habits and there's negative habits, and really, for me, it's a positive habit. And I do feel shit now if I don't go out walking, so you could call it an addiction, but because addiction is such a negative word, it's negatively associated with alcohol or other drugs. So yeah, I mean, it's just it is a compulsion now, but I love walking. Another reason that I sort of switch around the times of walking as well is because it can get really, really hot here during the summer, and you'd never go out walking in the afternoon, whereas in the winter time it's quite nice. It's it can get cool in the evenings and in the mornings, so you have to wrap up, whereas in the afternoon it's quite nice. So it's just changing things around, but trying to get trying to still maintain your core activities, the things that make you feel good, and that's what it's all about. I mean, walking just makes me feel good now. I used to always think that alcohol made me feel good, but that was just a load of crap. I was thinking about this yesterday, in terms of the different uses that we have for alcohol. So, when your usage changes over the years, when you start using alcohol, it's all very new, and people are drinking for completely different reasons than you'll be drinking when you get older. Maybe similar in terms of, we have different reasons for drinking when we're younger, definitely. When you first start drinking, you want to look like you're older. You want to feel like you're older. And drinking is something that the older guys do, the older people do. So that's what you do. When you get older, then it's to help you relax and to socialize and to get rid of your shyness and all that kind of stuff. And then, you definitely drink to have fun. But it is the fun situations that you're in and the fun people that you're with that makes it the fun. It's not the alcohol. The alcohol is a part of that, and there is no negativity to alcohol unless it comes to alcohol poisoning. Or third question for today is, did you go to AA meetings or did you quit cold turkey? Yeah, quit cold turkey. I mean, I didn't do anything. I didn't go to AA, definitely. I was never really into the AA stuff for several different reasons. The main one has to do with religion. I grew up in Catholic Ireland, and that turned me off religion for the rest of my life. I didn't want it forced down my throat, all that stuff about God, and I have my own ideas about God. Just because I have a problem with drinking it, I don't see what that has to do with God, and why I have to embrace the concept of God, or anybody's concept of God, or whatever it is. That's just, it's not my thing. So that really turned me off. Another thing was that you had to stand up and announce to the world that you're an alcoholic. And not only that you're an alcoholic, but that you will remain an alcoholic for the rest of your life. What utter fucking shit. I'm just not. I mean, talk about brainwashing on one aspect, from the aspect of being brainwashed into thinking that drinking is normal. But then, on the other end of the scale, you've got these cooks who are trying to brainwash you that alcohol is a disease, that there's nothing that you can do about it, that it was probably with you since the day you were born, and it will be with you till the day you die. If that's not trying to propagandize people, and so that they come to the meetings every week and they do it for the rest of their lives, then what is? That's what cults do. In all fairness. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't drink anymore. I do think about drinking, but when I think about drinking, it's with disgust that I've done it so long in my life. When I think about drinking now, it's just I see through all the bullshit, I think if you go and you continuously say, I'm an alcoholic, I can never have another drink again. Oh, I'll never be able to look, and I have to watch myself all the time, and I've got to be careful, and all it takes is one, and just the smell of alcohol will turn me. What kind of fucking crap is that? Really? Are we living in the 21st century here? Or are we still living in the dark ages? I don't need anybody to teach me to be a good person, and to frighten the shit out of me, I don't need anybody to do that. I'm a good person because I want to be a good person. I do good things because, those things that are taught in the Bible they're basic natural laws. If you should treat other people like you want to be treated yourself. You shouldn't go around and try and shag your neighbour's wife. You shouldn't rob off anyone. You shouldn't try and kill anyone. I mean, why do we need some guy in a frock to tell me that? I don't need that. And I certainly don't need a load of people to keep plunging it into my mind that I'm a sad alcoholic. I used to be that person, but as soon as I stopped drinking, I stopped drinking. I stopped being that person. It took a while before my brain got onto something else and switched tracks. But now my mind has switched tracks and it's not on that track anymore. What the fuck would I be doing calling myself an alcoholic? All it's doing is dragging me back over to the track that I was originally trying to get away from. And, that's not for me. In all fairness, the AA does help people. I think it helps a lot of people who have got that frame of mind that need that thing, need to be, that are looking for the higher power and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not, and there's plenty of people who are not looking for it, and that turns them off. So, if that's pushed at you like it's the only alternative, then a lot of people will carry on drinking. So, you know, I haven't seen this, but I've heard that a lot of people, if they get into trouble with DUIs or anything like that, that they're made to go to AA meetings. And I think that's completely wrong, because of that religious element to it, and because of that that cultish element where, you know, you're taught that you're an alcoholic for the rest of your life. I know that this disease theory doesn't go back that long, and I know that it's from a guy in the 50s, and I don't know enough about it now to talk about it too much, but the theories come from this bloke in the 50s, a scientist in the 50s, who was basically putting out a theory, and he was saying, well, you know, it could be like this. It needs a lot more research, but and of course everyone else picked up on it. Now, you know, if the media get a hold of anything, even back then, they're going to escalate any sort of theory like this. That's why you hear so much now about gene therapy, that there is an alcoholic gene. I mean, if you imagine that there's a scientist out there and all he's doing for his whole life is searching for the alcoholic gene, then, you know, his research is going to be, I wouldn't say flawed, but, you know, he's not looking for anything else. That's, you know, anything that sort of comes into his research that points away from there being a gene, he's going to ignore it, you know. So even if he doesn't come up with the theory, if he comes up with anything that sort of negates it, he's not going to tell you. And the cold turkey aspect to this thing is sort of misleading as well, because you know, cold turkey to me is always, I know it means that you're doing it without anything else, but it's just got that, you know, it's another one of those sayings that's got the addict label written all over it, you know. Oh yeah, well, you had to go cold turkey, you know. And it's like, yeah, you went through it, and that's it. That's what I did. Just stopped drinking. Went through the discomfort. Got on with my life. So the main thing I wanted to talk about today was changing your environment. Now, I talked about this way back in week 5, and I think I understand it a bit better now, a lot better than I did in the beginning. You know, and there's 3 areas in your life that can impact your quit. The first is your internal self, so all your thoughts, what you do with those thoughts, and how you feel, and how the quitting alcohol is affecting you physiologically. The next thing is your environment, and the third thing are the people around you. So I suppose the environment and the people could be linked together to form the outside. So you've got the inside and the outside. But the environment, certain parts of the environment you can change, and other parts of the environment you can't change. So some of the things that you can't change is the fact that there's always going to be alcohol around you. There's always going to be people that are drinking alcohol. There's always going to be alcohol in the stores. There's always going to be pubs that are selling alcohol. You know, for the near future, maybe, like cigarettes, people are going to start getting sins. I mean, you can see the restrictions are starting to come in very, very slowly. But that's exactly what happened with cigarettes. There is no momentum at the moment for alcohol. There isn't the will to do it. You know, when you think about it, that the people who are making the rules are probably all alcohol drinkers. I remember when the first Ireland was one of the first countries, if not the first in Europe, to implement the smoking ban, and they did it on the 1st of January, and one of the first people that was taken to court for breaking the law and for smoking in a public place was was a politician in the Dáil, in the Irish governmental offices in their one of their bars, and he lit up a cigarette and refused to put it out. You know, what a gobshite. You know, you can imagine that was splashed all over the every newspaper in the country. But the whole thing is that these politicians they're all druggies just like anyone else. You know, they're all smokers. Yeah, they're not all smokers. You know, these politicians, a lot of them are using the drugs that are doing all this damage. So they're, you know, a lot of them are smoking. Definitely a lot of them are drinking. So once you have the politicians and the people who are making the rules using the drug, then, you know, things are not going to change very quickly. So for the foreseeable future, there is going to be alcohol around. There is going to be alcohol under your nose. Alcohol advertising is everywhere. You know, again, it's being restricted in some parts. I think before I left Ireland, there was a lot of talk about them trying to restrict alcohol sponsorship of sporting events. But the last time I looked, you know, Guinness was still sponsoring the Gaelic games in Ireland. So I don't know how far that's gone. Like I say, small, slow, steady steps, and eventually things will work themselves out. But so that's one example of you not being able to change your environment. Another example is that the people around you, you know, if you class them as being in your environment, there are going to be people who will try and convince you to stop, to have a drink. That is not doing you any harm, or, you know, at least indirectly. You know, people don't directly try and influence me by saying, you know, you should have a drink, you know, but they do indirectly by saying stuff like, well, there's health benefits to having moderate amounts of alcohol. You know, and people don't know what that means. It's just something that they spout. It's they don't know what the health benefits are. They don't want to know. They don't know what moderate amounts are. They don't want to know. When you see somebody sitting there and they're drinking 2 or 3 or 4 glasses of wine, and then talking about moderate drinking, there's a disconnect between the language that they're using and what they actually mean. You know, they don't know what they mean by that. You know, it's just it's like an off-the-cuff remark that people use. You know, other types of things that people will say are, life is too short. You know, I have to enjoy myself while I'm here. You know, it's you're going to be dead a long time. You know, that's not an argument. When you're on the other side and you understand the benefits of not drinking, you understand how clear your mind is and how fit you can be, how much more you can do with your life when you're not restricted to being intoxicated every time you go out for a meal, or every time you go to a party, or, you know, all these times in your life when everything revolves around alcohol. When you don't have that in your life anymore, you're free like you were never before. You have it's a different type of a freedom. You know, it is true that life is only short. You know, you've only got a certain amount of time, a certain amount of years. So why would you spend the last few years of your life just suffering? You know, there's always a price to pay for anything that's good in life. You know, if you want to live a long, healthy life, there is a price that you have to pay for that. And that price is eating good food, drinking plenty of water, not shoveling shit into your mouth. And that includes alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, any of that shit, you know. If you can do that, you can have a great life. You know, in all fairness, there is no secret sauce, magic tricks, or anything in this life. It's just look after yourself, treat yourself good. You know, when I was younger, I went around with my head in the clouds, And I really never thought that, anything would ever catch up on me. Or I thought, well, it's tomorrow. There was always that saying, don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. But in that sense, it's, take what you can today, and a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And it's sort of an opposite mentality, isn't it? It's like, it's one of these things saying, well, one side of your brain is going, well, I have to get everything I want now because I might not be here tomorrow. And the other side of your brain is going, well, you probably will be here tomorrow, so you don't want to fuck it up so much that when you do get to tomorrow, you're going to regret all the stuff that you've done in the past. And I'm not one for regret at all. I think regret is just a fool's game because there's nothing you can do about it. But, so there's a lot of things that you can do to help yourself now, to help yourself, especially in the first few days. You can change your thinking. You can change your immediate environment so that you're getting all the alcohol paraphernalia, all the alcohol, everything that's involved with it out of your house, and do it in such a way that that it gives you a lot of internal power. Sort of take the wine and the beer and flush it down the toilet. I mean, break the bottles if you can, that kind of thing, because it's sort of a cathartic feeling, to really go, well, this is not having any grip over me anymore, and just throw the lot of it out. But some people don't need to do that. I couldn't do that because my partner drinks, so there's a lot of people who can't do that. But there's other ways around it. I mean, you can adjust your thinking to say, well, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything anymore. Your larger environment, like I say, there's always going to be alcohol around. There's always going to be bars. There's always going to be shops. There's always going to be people that are wanting to offer you drinks, and there's nothing you can do about that. You can avoid driving by these places, and you can avoid the alcohol aisles and stuff, but the more you can do inside your head at the beginning, the more you can change inside your head, the more freedom it gives you outside, so that you can walk by these places. You can walk by the supermarket aisle. You can look at a bottle of wine and not think anything. Not want to drink it because you see it for what it is. It was just a means to an end, and it's nothing on its own. But you know what I mean. Most of it is inside your head, regardless of whether you change things in your own personal environment, the things that you can change, or you avoid the things in your wider environment that you can't change. At the end of the day, it is all about your thinking. It's all about your perception and how you're perceiving these things. If you change your perception, if you change the way that you think about these things, then alcohol has got no control over you whatsoever. The only control alcohol has is in your mind. It's how your thoughts wrap around alcohol, whether it's this big demon or it's not. So anyway, I'm rambling again. So that's it for session 4. If you have any questions or any comments, then go over to the website and leave a comment underneath this post, which will be alcoholmastery.com/session 4. And until next week, have a great week. My name is Kevin O'Hara. Onwards and upwards.